Greeting, guys. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Early chatters are in. What's going on? Good to see y'all. Apologize for a little bit of lateness. We are here on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. Urban Hermit and Poppy Davis are watching. What's up, guys? Thanks for hanging out with me on Rockfin. What's up, Kiwi Bear with Muzza? Everybody say what's up to Muzza. Muzza says he's having a hard time posting links. I'm sorry about that, man. Let me see if I can post something. I might have to, it might be something that I have to fix in the settings. Hold on. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to see if I can post forcethevote.org in the settings. I can't. I can post links. Muzza, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's happening. I'll have to like look into it, I guess, after the show. But I think I can give a link right now. I got some. No, that's not it. Here we go. You can check me out at kevinsandbloom.com, and I have some links for t-shirts, Black Bear News t-shirts, as well as some Ecocide and Consume shirts just for the holidays. Just in time for the holidays. Basil Peterson, 1 degree this morning in Finger Lakes. Yikes. Benito Sanchez, thank you. You rock too. Thank you for being here. The Dude. What's up? Conscious Agent. What's up? Conscious Agent says, it's the Bad News Bears. Indeed. Kiro Hikes, what's up? Anyways, I put up a link for forcethevote.org, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. It's actually an organization. Well, it's through the Movement for the People's Party. The People's Party has put up a signature page and/or page where you can directly get involved with, try to back for the idea of Force the Vote, which I back on this channel. I hope I'll go as far to say as we back on this channel, although some lunatics think it might be a bad idea or something. I don't know, whatever. And I did mean lunatics when I said that. But, you know, whatever. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, I forget who it was that said something about, someone posted in the chat yesterday something about China and Korea apprehending Chinese fishing vessels. I didn't really find anything about that, about the apprehension part particularly. What I did find, though, was some interesting articles, quite a few articles, recent articles, about what China is doing to the global oceans, to the ecosystems. And again, I think a lot, we've known this is going on. People have been talking about this. So China's dark fishing fleet lays waste to global ecosystems. China's fleet of illegal fishing vessels is netting multi-million-dollar catches in Korean, Taiwanese, and Japanese waters. Actually, and this is happening all around the planet, in defiance of international bans and treaties, and has been blamed for a sharp fall in squid populations. This is from October 26, 2020, by the way. Fisheries ministries and an international fishing watchdog estimate that thousands of Chinese ocean-going fishing vessels sail to other shores annually in search of catches, mostly squid, often carrying no identification or tracking technology. Researchers described a fleet of dark vessels gathering by night off the coast of North Korea in defiance of an international ban, shining dazzling lights into the inky waters to attract the catch. In 2019, there were nearly 800 fishing boats from China illegally fishing in this maritime area. Hoki Lo, regional coordinator for Global Fishing Watch, told the RFA, excuse me, hold on one second. Forgot to do the things. Maybe you can see this now. Meanwhile, South Korea's Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries said in an October 5th report that Coast Guards had driven off some 6,543 illegal Chinese fishing vessels in 2019. That is a lot of vessels. Their incursions continue. Some 360 Chinese fishing vessels entered its exclusive economic zone every day this month, an increase of 80% compared with activity in September, the ministry said. China has the world's largest ocean-going fishing fleet, comprising around 2,600 ocean-going fishing vessels. While the world is, while the world is focused on coronavirus and a global pandemic, maybe this is an opportunity. China is seeing this as an opportunity to send out boats all over the world and just get all the fish. Let's get all the fish while nobody's looking. While agencies are down or running on low manpower, let's send out all the boats. China has the world's largest ocean-going fishing fleet, comprising around 2,600 ocean-going fishing vessels and 600 squid boats, which have been blamed for a collapse in squid populations as their nets sweep up immature squid before they're able to complete their breeding cycle. This is the first time in history that we have observed the activities of these dark fleets on such a large scale and over such a long period of time, Lowe said. A Global Fisheries Watch report published at the end of July in the international journal Science Advances was based on tracking data for China's dark fishing fleet in waters off Japan, Russia, and the two Koreas. None of these ships sent out any public signals and so can't be located by monitoring systems, so they operate in a loophole of international fisheries management, Lowe said. Lowe said the group had tracked more than 900 dark fishing vessels out of China and North Korean waters in 2017, and more than 700 in 2018. We estimate that their annual squid catch was in excess of 160,000 tons from 2017 to 2018. The total value of the catch was approximately $440 million. She said the Chinese vessels continued to operate in defiance of a United Nations Security Council ban in the wake of North Korea's nuclear tests in 2017. The blinding lights used to attract fish also aid in locating them, while the tracking systems can reveal that they return to ports in China with their cargoes. Researchers believe North Korea may be secretly colluding with Chinese authorities, but there is no data from highly secretive Stalinist state. Okay. Which isn't a member of International Fisheries Organization. There have been rumors that fishing boats from other countries can be used to buy and sell fishing in this region. Chen Chi-sin, an associate professor at Taiwan's Ocean University, told RFA, it is actually possible to enter North Korea's territorial waters or economic waters without approval. Chinese and North Korean officials have yet to respond to the Global Fisheries Watch report. Fishing skippers in Japan have complained since 2018 that catches have hit a new low amid plummeting populations. Has been a marked collapse in squid populations since 2003. And squid catches in South Korea and Japan have fallen by 80%. 80%, Lowe said. Growing incursions by Chinese vessels. So, I'm positive that climate change and changing environments have probably added to that problem. But we've just fished all the fish out of the oceans. That's just what we're doing. We as a species, this isn't just a China is all to blame problem. Although obviously they're big players in this, but this is going on, around the planet. In 2018, there were about 3,000 North Korean fishing boats operating illegally in Russian waters. North Korean fishing boats are usually wooden boats, and the lights they use are far dimmer than those used by typical commercial fishing boats. Faced with increasing competition, North Korean fishermen may be forced to venture into other waters. NBC reported in July that hundreds of ghost boats carrying the skeletons of North Koreans who starved to death found drifting through the Sea of Japan in recent months were pushed from their previous fishing grounds by China's dark fishing fleet. According to Chen, squid are short-lived species that are highly sensitive to changes in their environment, so the impact of overfishing can be devastating to squid populations. If they disappear, the smaller fish, shrimp, and organisms they once fed on could boom, having a negative impact on marine ecosystems. More than 50% of the global squid catch comes from Argentine waters in the South Atlantic and American red squid in the East Pacific and the Japanese squid in the North Pacific. Between 50 and 70% of the global catch is caught by Chinese fleet on the high seas, causing a wave of fishery disputes and political tensions. The Ecuadorian military accused the Chinese fishing boats of turning off their tracking systems intermittently to avoid being monitored. And satellite data analysis from Global Fisheries Watch shows that nearly 400 foreign squid fishing boats were on the border of Peru's exclusive economic zone in September alone. China is also making marine incursions in areas other than fishing. Authorities on the democratic island of Taiwan on Monday seized 2 Chinese vessels and detained 28 crew members for illegally taking sand from the seabed in its economic exclusion zone. They're stealing sand from the seabed of Taiwan, from Taiwan's economic exclusion zone. Marine police and Penghu County officials seized the Fenghe 9969 sand pumping ship and the Shangjin 36 sand transportation vessel, along with crew members from both Chinese vessels, including the captains. The area they were found in is rich in natural resources and an important breeding ground for marine life, such as narrow-barred Spanish mackerel and pencil squid, and the vessels were seized to defend the natural ecology of the sea around Penghu. Maybe the Chinese government can accuse them of being mean. Our national army will protect the security of our homeland, Taiwan Premier Su Tseng-chang said. We have always handled cases of illegal incursions by Chinese sand mining ships strictly. Opposition lawmaker Chen Yu-jen said it was unusual for quite so many ships to appear in the area at the same time. It's possible that the Chinese Communist Party are requisitioning civilian sand pumping and sand cargo ships for military use. And we can just sum all of that up as the Chinese engaging in planet destruction, planet munching. We're just sailing around, just munching the planet, munching it up. We are the tip of the spear of the human race, munching the planet. Here's another article. Chilean Navy ships monitor huge Chinese fishing fleet. This is from 4 days ago. The Chilean Navy says it's closely monitoring 11 Chinese fishing vessels in its exclusive economic zone. The Chinese fishing fleet has been accused by conservation group Oceana of pillaging the waters off the Galapagos Island for squid. The fleet is made up of more than 400 fishing vessels, of which 11 are currently in Chile's EEZ, according to the Chile's Navy. Chile said last month it would take measures to prevent illegal fishing. The large Chinese fleet caused concern when it arrived in waters off the Galapagos Island, a UNESCO World Heritage Site which forms part of Ecuador, in July. The Chinese embassy in the Ecuadorian capital of Quito said the government had a zero tolerance policy towards illegal fishing, supposedly. China also proposed a moratorium on fishing near the Galapagos, between September and November. But when the Chinese fishing vessels moved south to waters off Peru, they again sparked anger, this time among Peruvian fishermen worried that the large Chinese fleet would overfish the squid they rely on for their livelihood. Last month, 4 South American countries with Pacific coastlines joined forces to combat illegal fishing. Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru issued a joint statement saying they would work together to prevent, discourage, and jointly confront any attempts to illegally fish. They did not mention China or the Chinese fishing boats in their statement. Oh, I'm sorry if you guys couldn't see that. My apologies. Here's something interesting tweet from Carbon Brief. Interactive. When will the Arctic see its first ice-free summer? And this only goes to 2019, so does not go forward in time. But let's look at this link to when will the Arctic see its first ice-free summer. And this is a very long, pretty involved article about the Arctic and the ice, the situation of the ice in the Arctic. But you got to go all the way down here to really get to the answer. If you want an in-depth look at what's going on with the ice in the Arctic, I suggest checking this out. It's at carbonbrief.org. When will the Arctic see its first ice-free summer? But we're getting to the meat of the question right away. And hold on one second. I apologize for the scrolling. Their answers are pretty typical. Hold on. Hold on. I had it. Here we go. Nope. So yeah, all this entire article, the frustrating thing about this article is that it gives you kind of the standard, like, well, if we stay below 1.5 C, the Arctic is very unlikely to see its first ice-free summer before 2065. Anybody looking at a graph or even looking at that time-lapse video of what's happening to the Arctic ice can see that we're not going to have Arctic ice last another, 40 years, 45 years. That's just ridiculous. So this is the graph, actually. This is the very interesting graph. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll move it over here. So yeah, this is the RCP 8.5, which is the worst case scenario from the IPCC. Probability of ice-free summer percentage. They put it at 100% by 2050. Also, the other interesting thing about this graph is that the very likely scenario is more tied to the worst case scenario than any other scenario. So at least this graph is kind of living in reality. For whatever reason, all this starts at like 2032. So they're saying worst case scenario, ice-free Arctic starts in 2032. I mean, maybe. But they also put the worst case scenario as the most likely. Whammo, all the way up to, over 90% likelihood that we'll be ice-free by 2040. So at least this graph is in reality. The rest of the prognostications in the article were kind of underwhelming and ho-hum, but I think we could probably expect that from most articles, scientific publications, journals, etc. by now. So yeah, and then they give other, so it's also the good part of this graph is that the 1.5 C scenario, which I am assuming they mean if we stay under 1.5 C, is in the very unlikely to unlikely range. And then they go through the different scenarios: 1.5C with overshoot, 2C, RCP 4.5, which is a little more on the timeline of worst case scenario. Then the worst case scenario, RCP 8.5, or, you know, the very bad, very, very quote unquote, very, very bad scenario is the most likely and the most imminent. So there you go. I am not going to just, I don't really want to get into this whole thing because most of this is stuff that everybody here knows. And it's kind of like basic. This is like a basic introduction to, you know, basic classroom introduction to what's happening with the Arctic and when will we see an Arctic ice-free summer. And full of also lots of misinformation and or hopium and or unlikely ideas about when we'll be ice-free. Exactly. Realize says the real worst case scenario is always censored, and that is true. They really don't want to let you know what's really happening. Valhalla, that's the tech dystopian fix, I guess. The only hope is if Terminator takes over and starts sorting humans out the hard way, kill most humans and use its godlike power to fix the planet. I don't know. Sounds scary. Maybe that is the only way. I don't know. I mean, listen. What your scenario spells out as far as what the Terminator might do is actually what the planet is about to do. Let's say Mother Nature is, the sixth mass extinction starring Mother Nature as the Terminator, right? There's always that scenario where the planet or Mother Nature herself says, you guys have had a lot of fun. So, but, now is the day when all the fun stops. And then, basically Mother Nature is the Terminator. So I don't know. Human love solidarity. Would you give up your life to save the planet? Do people need to give up their lives, or do they need to give up their lifestyles? Or do they need to give up the things that they think that they are entitled to while they're alive? I'm actually more, I lean, I don't think that anybody has to give up their life. But if by life you mean lifestyle, then we're in agreement. Ooh, this has turned very dark very quickly. But that's okay. That's okay. Biden is the T1000. Woo. Richard Monroe links to an article, says why the demand for seaweed is about to boom. I'll check that out. Probably won't cover that today, but interesting nonetheless. Jacob Gordon says we'd have to stop being here on our electronic devices as part of doing what is necessary to make change for the better. Yeah. I think that holds a lot of logic, Jacob Gordon. But the good thing is, I mean, for now, is that we really need to wake up a lot of people very quickly to this problem. And I do think that this is probably the quickest way for us to do that, to alert people. Kiro Hikes, the idea that we're all going to be at 2.5 tons a year, nope. Human Love Solidarity, find Peter Carter on YT for climate info. Let's go over to Rockfin and say hello. Hello, Snake 1974, Poppy Davis, Kevin Shanholter. Ken Greenfield. What's up, guys? Thank you for being with me on Rockfin. You rock. Ya rock. Okay, let's move on. I believe Chigozi sent me this. Germany is set for the hottest year on record in blow to farm crops. Whoa. That sounds like a headline out of abrupt climate change news, doesn't it? Don't it, though? Hope you guys are enjoying my ASMR coffee drinking. This is from December 16th, 2020. Bullet points are: no cold spells are expected for the rest of this year. Farm harvests and forests were hurt by dryness in the spring. Let's look into this. Germany will set another temperature record this year, according to weather.net, marking the hottest period since such data collection began in 1881, and a third year of extreme weather conditions. The forecaster said no cold spells are expected for the remaining 2 years. For the remaining 2 weeks of the year, making it certain that 2020 will go down as the warmest year in the country's history. Whoa. Again, breaking records. The trend is record-breaking, isn't it? Breaking a record might not be a trend, but the trend is that we're breaking records. So every year we're breaking records. That's the trend. Through mid-December, the average temperature was 10.75 degrees Celsius, it said, citing calculations based on data from Germany's Federal Weather Service, DWD. That will beat the record set in 2018. And here's a very simple graph here for all to see and enjoy. DWD separately said 2020 is also another year with little precipitation, with rainfall through mid-December just 83% of average. So rainfall is at 83% of average, following particularly dry months of January and April. That marked the 6th driest spring since collection of such data started. Agriculture and forests have been worst hit by unusual dryness in the spring. Grain harvests this year were about 5% below average, with declines of 19% for asparagus, 13% for strawberries, 11% for cherries. The Federal Statistics Office said more fallen timber had to be cut back because of persistent heat and dryness. Oh, and let's just keep going with this. Another article following right on the heels of this. Next year is already set to be among the hottest on record, according to the UK Met Office. They are saying they're expecting readings more than 1 degree Celsius above long-term average. Next year is already set to be among the hottest on record, even as the planet experiences the temporary cooling effect of La Nina phenomenon. Average global temperatures for 2021 are forecast to be between 0.91 and 1.15 degrees Celsius higher than the average for the pre-industrial period. Really? Is that correct? Anyways, interesting. The six warmest years on record have all occurred since 2015. So again, the trend is record-breaking. Record-breaking may not be a trend, but the trend is record-breaking. The global temperature for 2021 is unlikely to be a record year due to the influence of the current La Nina, but it will be far warmer than other past La Nina years, such as 2011 and 2000 due to global warming. And what that means is that the next time we get an El Nino, you're going to get hit right upside your El Bino. That was just the dumbest dad joke I could possibly think of. What's up, guys? Yes, imagine the next El Nino will not pretty. It will not look pretty. Salt Lakers. Yeah, that's interesting. Salt Laker says, speaking about the suggested power of Jim Jones, some people think that you can merely suggest the presence of a virus and people will start to drop dead. The human mind is powerful. You're right. The human mind is very powerful. Well, that's what the placebo effect is all about, right? Placebos are given in trials as a test, as part of the test group, but people have responded to dormant or non-active placebos, right? And because they're told, here, I'm going to give you something that's going to help fix you, and you take it and your mind tells you that you're going to get fixed, right? Rich Diana, the trend is hockey stick. So the same could work in reverse, right? If somebody tells you, excuse me, if somebody tells you that, you're in danger, you might be ingesting something that's going to make you sick, or you might be in an area where you're going to get sick, or there's a sickness going around, there's disease going around. Oh my God, you could probably imagine yourself getting sick right away. Judy Truitt, mass psychosis exists. See Trump supporters. I agree with you. And also, see Democratic supporters. Both sides are suffering from mass psychosis. Both of them. Just different types. The people that are free and able to think about things in a little more of a realistic way, the people who are able to look at things from all sides are people who do not engage in the psychosis of either side, the Republican side or the Democrat side. Biden is the placebo. Boom. Irk won. Wow. Biden is the placebo to TDS. Oh my gosh. Coming with the boom and the knockout. Nice. Irk won. Exactly. Couldn't have said it better than myself. Biden is the placebo. Ooh, but let's get into some stuff. Yep. Yep. Let's get into some things. Have you guys heard that there's an actual website? I believe developed and posted by the Movement for a People's Party in conjunction with not just Jimmy Dore, but in conjunction with many other political commentators and activists. Jimmy had a really good interview with Cornel West yesterday. I really highly suggest that you watch this interview with Cornel West. Great interview. Cornel West is part of Movement for a People's Party. He's also backed this as well. Kyle Kalinske. So many people are really on board with this idea of force the vote. And I'm on board as well. I fully support and endorse this. And there is a website called forcethevote.org. You can find it on my timeline on Twitter if you need to. I already tweeted out, or I already put a link for it in the chats. Forcethevote.org. Just go there and sign. You can put your name on the petition. And let's read this petition just a little bit. If you're unaware of the idea, we demand that every progressive in Congress refuse to vote for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House until she publicly pledges to bring Medicare for all to the floor of the House for a vote in January. Force the vote. 11,000 supporters and counting, 11,253. Let's make it much, much more, guys. If you believe in this, help out. At the very least, just sign your name to this petition. You can also tweet at any representative you wish. Ro Khanna, Mark Pocan, incoming Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman. They're all here, right? They're listed here. Ro Khanna, Marie Newman, Ayanna Presley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilana Omar, Cori Bush, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Pramila Jayapal, Raul Gurjalva. Forcethevote.org. Please go and check it out. So super interesting thing that happened. And oh, I'm sorry. Did you guys not see that? My bad. I am so bad. Here we go. I'm going to just show you these folks here. One more time. Raul Gurjalva, Ro Khanna, Marie Newman, Ayanna Presley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, Jamal Bowman, Pramila Jayapal. There are other people that are in the so-called progressive caucus, too. It's quite a few people. It's like 100 reps in the progressive caucus. You can find this on my Twitter timeline. Retweet it. Hashtag force the vote. But this is super interesting article because in this conversation around force the vote, in this conversation around this idea, some people proposed David Sirota being one of them, or maybe it was Max Stoller. We're saying, well, you can't, we need to be all supportive and we can't, put these people on blast and we can't endanger their jobs or their committee appointments. If we put pressure on them, we might endanger their jobs or their committee appointments. We need them in there, just backing everything that Nancy Pelosi wants, doing absolutely nothing. We need them in there because, I guess warm bodies are better than no bodies. Here's a crazy story, though. AOC just lost a committee appointment precisely because she didn't exhibit any opposition to Nancy Pelosi. The establishment strikes back. Henry Cuellar and centrist Democrats mutiny against progressives in a key committee fight. Quickly, committee assignments are one of the least eye-catching parts of politics, but they're also one of the most important ways in which actual political power is wielded. Certain committees in the House, like Energy and Commerce, Ways and Means, and Appropriations, have outsized influence on money and power. And money power. They are often called the money committees, not just because they're where the action is, but because members can earn lots of money in campaign contributions from industries with business before them. You can earn lots of money in campaign contributions if you're on one of these committees. You know, good for them and good for the industries, but maybe not good for the people, right? Deliberations over the next several days will be extremely important for progressives in the House as they angle to lock down seats on these powerful committees for their members. To that end, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was expected to secure a prized position on the Energy and Commerce Committee, a seat vacated by outgoing New Yorker Eliot Engel. Among other issues, the committee has jurisdiction over health care and climate change issues, a natural for a congresswoman who has championed Medicare for All and the Green New Deal. Ocasio-Cortez was expected to cruise comfortably to the position. She was the first to raise her hand for the seat, and she won the backing of Dean of the New York delegation, Representative Jerry Nadler. But last week, as Politico reported, Long Islander Kathleen Rice, who is a centrist Democrat, made an out of nowhere last second bid for the seat, interrupting the process. Representative Rice is a backbencher from the party's right flank, so she's on the right. Both parties have, the Republicans are not all one block of right wingers. There are factions in the Republican Party, some more right than others, some more progressive than others. Same with the Democrats. Obviously, there's more right-wing leaning Democrats and more left-leaning Democrats. So she's a backbencher from the party's right flank who in 2018 refused to support Nancy Pelosi for Speaker without the support of Nadler and with the famous opposition of steering committee. Rice's attempt didn't seem to be serious. But in a surprise last-second steering committee meeting on exclusive committee assignments Thursday, which was scheduled at 10 p.m. the night before, centrist Democrats put on a show of support for Rice and against AOC in what looks to have been a process-defying attempt to keep AOC out of the seat. Most vocal in the opposition to Ocasio-Cortez's candidacy was Texas's Henry Cuellar, the caucus's most conservative member. After Ocasio-Cortez was nominated and seconded, Cuellar opposed, commenting, "I'm taking into account who pays their dues and who doesn't work against other members, whether in primaries or in other contexts," according to a source with knowledge of the meeting. Many of the representatives that came out most forcefully against Ocasio-Cortez have close ties to oil and gas. So, listen, this is the upshot of this. The upshot of this. Rice's triumph is especially surprising given that she is not known to be well-liked within the caucus. She's not well-liked. She's not popular. She made powerful enemies of Pelosi and Nadler and was shut out of a much-desired spot on the House Judiciary Committee just 2 years ago because of her refusal to back Pelosi's speakership in 2018. It's unclear how her selection might influence her vote this time around. So what they're saying, the upshot of this is that because she withheld her vote for Pelosi before, Pelosi fears her. Because she doesn't have blanket support that she feels that she might have from AOC or other members of the Progressive Caucus. They gave Rice the seat, or they considered her. And not only that, because, Rice is a centrist Democrat, and so all the powerful, bought and sold, corrupt centrist Democrats were like, yeah, we prefer this person on the seat, of course. But this person was willing to wield their power, and so made her someone to be feared. So if you give her the seat, you can get something in return, like her support or her vote, which AOC was not willing to suggest that she might withhold her vote. So this is the upshot of not wielding your power. If you say you're going to roll over and lay down, you get nothing. Thanks for your support, you get nothing. Like Bernie Sanders or if you just say you're going to roll over or lay down, you get nothing for your acts of kindness and your support. It's only when you resist, when you say no, when you stop playing nice, when you wield your power, when you dig your feet in or dig your heels in, that's when people are like, oh, wait, hold on. Maybe I've got to come, bend my will a little bit. Or maybe I have to play ball with this person. Maybe I have to cooperate with this person. Because otherwise, if the person is just willing to roll over for you, you can just do anything you want because you know you're going to get their support. Anyways. Keith Hayes says AOC thinks the Espionage Act was properly used against Julian Assange. Really? She must know he was a foreigner in another country, or maybe she is stupid. I mean, it's a little surprising that some of the things that AOC supports and some of the things that other progressives support are quite imperialistic. Quite fascist even, right? You think they're progressive. They might just be virtue signaling. They might just be progressive in name only. They might just be wearing a t-shirt that says progressive. Right? And, oh yeah. She's cool. Progressive. We're all we're progressives. Yeah. So anyways. Boat rope lamppost, carrot stick, indeed. Yeah, so anyways, there you go. There's, there were people saying, oh, we got to play nice and we got to play ball and we got to be good and just roll over for Nancy Pelosi and just support. And we got to do everything all the Democrats. We got to work as a unified unit, Democrats. Oh, we got to be unified. We can't. And the upshot of that is they get to do everything they want. They get to ignore you. They get to laugh at you. They get to smear you in the press. They get to scoff at you, laugh at you, call your issues and your policies and your platforms, kooky, nutty, pie in the sky. And, they go, well, anyways, anyways, that's what's happening. So hopefully the progressives can get it together and realize that they need to start being a little less nice. I also heard the same thing about what happened with the latest stimulus bill. For whatever reason, Bernie Sanders decided to act with a spine. Bernie Sanders and Jeff, is it Josh Hawley? They both were threatening to actually kind of dig their heels in and slow down the process of the stimulus package, or hold it back in order to get this bill in. And for whatever reasons, it worked on some levels. People have problems with what the eventual agreement was, $600 instead of $1,200, or somebody was saying, like, why didn't he ask for $2,000? Weren't we asking for a UBI for the duration of the pandemic? And I agree with all of that. Why not go big and come down from there instead of ask for what has already been given and go down from there? Negotiation 101, but whatever. Salt Lakers, indeed. If other politicians don't hate you for rocking the boat, you are not doing your job. You are not doing your job. Right. Yes, realize the Democrats would be far right in any other country on earth. Or Western country, right. Thank you, Muzza. Yes, that's right. Please, like up the video. Like it up, like it up. And Kevin says my video and audio is breaking up a lot. I don't know. I'm sorry about that. That's not on my end. I think that's on Rockfin's end. But I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Here's an interesting article. Study. Like we needed a study to see this. A study finds connection between believing Russia rigged the 2016 election and believing 2020 election was foolproof. So you see the inherent and apparent I don't know if it's hypocrisy, but just kind of double think thing going on here, right? So if you believe, the 2016 election was totally rigged by Russia, it was totally, totally wrong, totally illegal, totally a farce. But the 2020 election was, completely foolproof, on the up and up. I'm not, we've had proof already that Russia did not hack our election. That didn't happen. Was there other election malfeasance in 2016? I'm sure there was. As Greg Palast has indicated by his journalistic investigations, there is election rigging going on all over the place. Our elections are some of the most fraudulent, corrupt, not to be trusted. Our elections are in serious jeopardy. And this is, I'm not saying this. A very good investigative journalist is saying this, who's been doing this investigative journalism for a long time, Greg Palast. But he is saying it is happening on both sides. Both sides are, equally to blame. They're doing it in different ways, but our elections are not fair elections, and they're not on the up and up. But so if you believe that one side is doing it and the other side is not, don't listen to me. Listen to Greg Palast. Just go find Greg Palast video anywhere, and he's talking about this. So, and it's a little funny to think that, from one election to the next, one election was totally rigged and the next election was, no, totally fair because your guy won. Or, totally rigged because the other side won, right? We see this happening back and forth. Again, zero difference between Trumpers and blue MAGAs, if you will. And an inability to see, take yourself out of the news cycle or the information you're getting from your silo and look at things realistically with a jaundiced eye, if you will. And lastly, David Sirota doing good work, a bit of a fluff between him and Jimmy Dore, but whatever. It doesn't mean that Sirota isn't doing investigative journalism on a high level. Biden goes to bat for BlackRock. Oh, here we go. Stays vague on direct aid to struggling Americans. Exactly. So the thing to do is to listen to what people are not saying. And this is what David Sirota lays out. Every now and again, you can see public officials' true priorities by watching the difference between what they aggressively advocate for and what they don't. So, I was saying yesterday, I reported on the story that was reported on by the Rising that Trump was trying to push for a $2,000 stimulus check in the latest stimulus thing and was blocked by White House aides. And for whatever reason, the particulars are a little vague on that story, but where has Joe Biden come down on all this? He's the president-elect. Is he pushing for $1,200 stimulus checks? Has he said anything about this? Is he involved in leaning on anybody in any way to get more stimulus for the people? I know sources say no. Anyways, a good example is on display right now in the escalating fight over stimulus legislation in Congress. For weeks, Joe Biden's team has tiptoed around the bill and avoided strongly and consistently pushing for direct aid to Americans, even as the country faces mass starvation and rising poverty. Well, but at least Joe Biden he's not a bigot? What? I don't know. Somebody said something about, anyways, whatever. At least, at least Joe Biden's not a racist, huh? What? He's not saying anything about stimulus for Americans, but at least he's a good guy. At least he doesn't shout down black activists and black leaders from around the country. At least he doesn't talk shit to, black people. That's good. Thanks, Joe Biden. At least he's a good guy, quote unquote. Yesterday, let me see. For weeks, Joe Biden's team has tiptoed around the bill, even as the country faces mass starvation and rising poverty. But yesterday, Biden's designee to run federal economic policy suddenly weighed in an uncharacteristically forceful way to demand Congress protect a program that has provided little relief to ordinary Americans. But, hold on to your socks, but has significantly benefited his Wall Street firm. In a formal statement from Biden's transition team, the president-elect's designee to run the National Economic Council, Brian Deese, demanded Congress reject Republican-backed legislative language designed to curtain or bring to an end, I guess, special Federal Reserve lending programs created in the first pandemic legislation passed earlier this year. It is in the interest of the American people to maintain the Fed's ability to respond quickly and forcefully. So I guess they had language that was supposed to end these lending programs from the Federal Reserve. Undermining the authority could mean less lending to Main Street businesses, higher unemployment, and greater economic pain across the nation. While the Fed programs have been criticized for being underutilized, they have significantly boosted BlackRock, the firm that was hired to advise the Fed and that has been employing Deese as a managing director. What? The Fed programs in question could be making a big positive impact on the economy, but so far they've been stingy with small businesses and state and local governments. The programs, though, have boosted the fossil fuel industry, and the Wall Street Journal reported in September that they have been in a particular boon for the company the Fed hired to help execute its plan, BlackRock. The firm has primarily benefited from the Fed's decision to purchase BlackRock's exchange-traded funds, which prompted other investors to put money in the same vehicles, Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm going to get back to it. The funds the Fed ultimately did buy became even more popular with investors who put $48 billion into them in the first half of 2020, nearly twice the amount that went in the year before. The journal reported BlackRock funds were especially popular. They took in $34 billion. Holy Nikes. About 160% more than in the first half of 2019. The Financial Times concluded that the Fed programs have helped BlackRock emerge as one of the biggest winners in finance from the COVID-19 crisis. Holy shit. For his part, Biden has been all over the place when it comes to stimulus legislation. At one point, he seemed to signal vague support for direct aid, but at another point, when the House and Senate seemed close to reaching a deal that included state and local aid and a corporate liability shield, but no stimulus checks, he seemed to signal his support for such an agreement. Wow. Asked about Senator Bernie Sanders' opposition over the lack of checks, Biden acknowledged that the deal would be better with checks and that those may still be in play. However, he said this is a democracy and you've got to find a sweet spot where we have enough people willing to move in a direction that gets us a long way down the road, but isn't the whole answer. Whoa. Sounds like a whole lot of blobbity blue. Thanks, Joe Biden. That rhetoric is a lot more squishy and non-committal than the assertive demands to protect the program helping BlackRock, which tells us a lot about priorities. To be sure, Democrats are right to argue that the Fed lending programs have enormous potential to help local economies, and the GOP's effort to curtail them seems designed to sabotage that potential. The story here is less the programs themselves, which probably should be preserved, and more the difference between what the party seems willing to truly fight for and what it seems willing to surrender on. In much the same way, a Wall Street-friendly Obama administration prioritized bank bailouts over direct aid to homeowners, Biden's team has refrained from using significant political capital to push for direct aid to Americans. But it is aggressively going to bat for a program benefiting Wall Street. And the specific Biden appointee going to bat for the program literally works at the financial firm that has been benefiting more than any other. Yeah. Get ready for more of that same old good doublespeak. But, you know, Biden's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's the good guy. He's the good guy. At least he's not tweeting. I don't know. I guess everybody can feel better about that, right? Rich Diana says businesses are dropping dead all around us and Wall Street loves it. That's your new economy. Basil Peterson, helping poor people is a moral hazard. Apparently. Interglacial optimist, the Fed prints the money and Uber blows it to the tune of $5 billion a quarter. I know. Had Vollmer, can I have a check, please? Constituent of Clowns says the reason Congress is largely against checks to the public is because folks will expect more, unlike corporations who never expect more. Okay. Judy Truitt, it's just another swamp. Rich Diana says corporations are people, ergo, I am a corporation, where's my check? Yes, Robert Arajo, indeed. I learned the more you do to help the poor or disadvantaged, you will face great opposition indeed. You might be smeared. You might be called a socialist. You might be called a wild-eyed socialist, communist. Realize says war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. I don't know. I think a lot of people are have really bought into this idea that if we're all just nice, if we're all just really nice and we just act nice, and we're all super nice, it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's a lefty disease on some level that's kind of hopefully going away. You know, I think there's some people that are seeing around this idea that if we're, you know, it's like hyper civility. Like if we're all just, you know, we want everybody to not be nice. And, you know, we all want everybody to be nice. We want to live in a world where everybody's nice to each other and doesn't hurt each other and doesn't abuse each other. And I agree with that. But the reality is that if you just, you know, nice your way through life, people are, you know, you're eventually going to run into people, and there's more than you know, who are going to take your niceness and use it against you, and or walk all over you, and or kick you in the teeth and say, you know, and tell you that you're a bad person for being nice, right? Whatever, you know, niceness is really cool, but there are a lot of instances where niceness needs to not be the driving force, right? There are moments in life when you have to really stop. You have to get very unnice, and so, you know, power concedes nothing without a demand, and demands are never nice. Demands are never nice. Realize says it's an intellectual trope, indeed. Wow, Mashi says politics instead of war, nice don't cut it. Right. Rich Diana, you don't have to be nice to be fair. Wow, Mashi, nice doesn't work against the slave overseers, indeed. Right. So you're going to have to go, Poppy Davis, when they go low, we go nice. Exactly. Well, that, you know, that's a really good point, Poppy Davis. That's a really good point. There was that, remember that when they go low, we go high kind of thing coming from the Democrats? But the thing about that was peak virtue signaling. They go low, we go high. We just rise above with our goodness and our kindness, right? Which is all a bunch of bullshit coming from, you know, Hillary Clinton and the Clinton wing of the Democratic Party, they're decidedly not nice people. They wield power, political power, with the worst of them, right? So they're not nice people. They're very brutally political animals, right? And so this idea that they're going high, public, you know, Donald Trump and the Trumpers, they're all down in the, you know, squabbling in the mud because they're low. They're going low. They're being mean and nasty. We're going high. All of that was just a big fat virtue signal. So that's funny that you said that. But yeah, you're right. Totally right. Yep. Michelle said that. Rich Diana, Michelle said that. Well, they all it became kind of a mantra of the left or of the Democrats. But it was all a big bag of bullshit. Thanks. Human love solidarity. Thank you. Thank you. Or at least I think you're talking to me. All right, guys. I've run out of time. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Thank you to all of my rock finners. Snake 1974. Yep. Poppy Davis says Biden is a hologram now. That's funny. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Thanks for joining me in the chats every day. Woo, we got 57 likes. Let's like up. Give us a couple likes before the end of the video, please. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at the usual time of 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.